Today on the LA Food Podcast. Congratulations, dear listener, your Los Angeles Dodgers are the 2024 World Series champs. And as one chapter closes, an even more exciting one opens. I'm talking about part one of our brand new series, Opening Cafe Esca. We're joined by accomplished hospitality pros Luke Reyes and Reilly Cox, the dream team behind the upcoming coastal Italian gem, Cafe Esca, slated to open in the Arts District in March of 2025. Luke and Reilly have agreed to visit us on the pod once a month to take us behind the scenes of all that's going to go into the opening of their ambitious LA restaurant. Why are they doing this? Well, typically when restaurants open, you just see a blurb and eater or stroll by it on your morning walk. But there's tons of work that goes into opening a restaurant that often goes untold. Reilly and Luke are going to take us under the hood, sharing the good, the bad, the ugly, and of course, the delicious. Think of this like a podcast version of The Bear Season 2, but with more City of Angels and far less family trauma. In today's episode, we're going to get to know Reilly and Luke, how they met, and how the concept and opportunity to open Cafe Esca came about. In future episodes, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of things like permitting, menu planning, staffing, and much, much more. I cannot tell you how excited I am to go on this journey with them, and I hope you are too, dear listener. But first, Father Saw is with us to talk New York versus LA food, whether Kamala Harris's status as a foodie can actually help her win the election, and of course, to play a round of Chef's Kiss, Big Miss. He also makes a big, massive announcement that you're not going to want to miss. All I've got to say is, look out, LA. There's a new daddy in town. As always, please consider leaving us a rating or a review wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm your host, Lucas Servodio, and without further ado, let's chow down. Dear listener, I made a deal with my wife. She let me start a food podcast and eat ungodly amounts of noodles, pizza, sandwiches, and more under two conditions. One is that I never utter her name. The other is that I find ways to be healthy outside of my work in food. Being the fantastic partner I am, I found a few ways to up my health game. I exercise almost every day, I try to sneak in salads for lunch whenever I can, and I only ever snack on healthy foods. The macadamia nut has become an essential part of my daily routine with the best omega-6 to 3 ratios in the nut game, 8 times better than pistachios and 20 times better than cashews. At houseofmacadamias.com, they've got a bunch of different macadamia products that you can enjoy, like savory and sweet snack packs and chocolate-covered snack bars. One of the problems with macadamias I've found is that they can be expensive, but I'm solving this for you, dear listener, because as of today, all you've got to do is head to houseofmacadamias.com and use code LAFOOD to get a 10% discount on a healthy snack that also happens to be delicious. So what are you waiting for? Head to www.houseofmacadamias.com/discount/LAFood and go nuts. Welcoming back to the LA Food Podcast, a man who believes we should have been included on People Magazine's list of the sexiest podcasters of 2024. It's Father Saw. Father Saw, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, buddy. I mean, look, if I didn't have you dragging me down, we'd be at least number 2. At least top 2 and not number 2, baby. So next year we'll get it done. But congrats to the Kelsey brothers, well deserved.
They won? Did you look at the list?
They came up. I sent this to you. I sent you the tweet or whatever.
Yeah.
That Travis and Jason Kelsey. I didn't see the full list. I just saw the headline that they were the winners. I feel like the competition could not have been that strong.
Yeah. Is it Joe Rogan and the Smartless guys next?
Dude, Joe Rogan's sexy. This is not a comment on Joe Rogan's political or whatever commentary at all. Sexy? I don't know, man. I don't see it.
I don't know. I feel like some people are into the whole bald zaddy thing, you know?
Bald zaddy, oversized melon from the steroid use. Maybe. Could be into could be some people into that.
All right. Look, let's not beat around the bush today. I already told you that I wanted to keep things a little bit tighter today because we have maybe the most exciting interview series kicking off today that we've ever done on this podcast. And there's actually one person to thank for inspiration. Can you guess who it is?
No, I actually have no idea what you're talking about.
So we have made reference in the past to the only good thing, in my eyes, that David Chang has ever done. And that is a podcast series he did chronicling the opening of one of his restaurants in New York City. We at the LA Food Podcast are doing pretty much the exact same thing with an LA angle. We're going to be joined for 6 episodes on this podcast, checking in once a month with Luke Reyes and Reilly Cox, who are opening Cafe Esca in the Arts District. Both of them have incredible backgrounds, which our listeners are going to hear about. Luke, obviously, you know him from Rita's Deluxe downtown and past projects like the Gorbals. He was also at the Tasting Kitchen in Venice. And Reilly, you may know her from Psychic Wines. She's doing incredible things there and is going to be bringing that expertise to Cafe Esca. They are bringing us along in their journey as they open this restaurant. We're going to talk about the nitty gritty of things, from staffing to like choosing platewares to planning menus to like where to place the bar and stuff. Saul, how excited are you for this?
This is so dope, dude. I cannot wait for this. I do remember you mentioning this now. Didn't realize it started with this podcast. This is like really exciting stuff. I'm super excited. I'm super psyched for this conversation. We have talked about before how it's one of the coolest things Dave Chang has ever done. I just want to flip the framing from you saying it's one of the only good things. I want to say it's one of the coolest.
Pretty sure you said it's the only good thing he's ever done, and I'm going to clip that and use it on our Instagram.
Oh my God. I'm going to kill myself. I thought you were going to literally say ugly delicious for a second, because I was like, that's a cool thing. Look, he's got a couple bangers. What are you going to do about it? So also quick gut check. It doesn't quite make sense to say this time with an LA angle, since the Dave Chang podcast was about Major Domo and therefore also an LA angle. You know, look.
No, but the thing about that though is like that was so Dave centric. You know, like it was so Major Domo centric.
Sure. Yeah.
Our goal is to really shed light here on the process of opening restaurants in LA. We're going to be talking about permitting. We're going to be talking about like how do you pick the right concept within the LA market, for example. Like this is bigger than that, okay?
Hey, permitting, sexy podcast combo. Can't wait. I actually, unironically, I really look forward to hearing about how that process goes. We know it's one of the major barriers, right? So, yeah, dude, I can't wait. This is really exciting.
Yeah. So next time you decide to be self-deprecating about our podcast, remember we do some cool shit. Look, speaking of some of the cool shit we like to talk about, I understand that you learned something new about the bear recently.
Yeah. I was listening to another podcast recently called The Town. One of my favorites, speaking of being self-deprecating about our pod, go listen to The Town. One of the best out there. Matthew Bellany holds it down. I'm kind of...
To be clear, he's saying go listen to it instead of listening to this right now.
Yeah. Go tune in. He had John Landgraf on. John Landgraf's the head of FX Studios and has been for like a really long time, like decades, like 20 years or something. And he therefore was the man who found, greenlighted, and has been producing The Bear, right? And if you remember from our Bear Season 3 convos, one of the things that, I kept bringing up because I'd heard it on other podcasts, and that I think I'd heard in the chatter and that we talked about, was the fact that part of like this season seemed like such a drag and like so overstuffed with Maddie Matheson and unnecessary guest stars, because we theorized that FX had asked for 20 episodes, 2 seasons simultaneously, and they may not have had the story for all 20 episodes and therefore had to stretch it out. That's really what the season felt like.
Mm-hmm.
John Landgraf, in this interview on The Town, revealed that's actually not what happened. He went to Chris Storer during the renewal and was like, hey, we can renew you for 2 seasons. We have like the ability to do that right now. Do you want it? And Chris said, no, we just want a 1-season renewal. Then came back around to John and said, you know what? I actually think we have 20 episodes worth of story here. We want 2 seasons and 20 episodes. So it wasn't FX saying, hey, we want to stretch this out and keep our hit show going. It was actually Chris Storer coming back and saying, I have 20 episodes of story. So then you go, what's the deal? Like, it really seemed like you did not have that. And what Landgraf said in the interview was the point of the season, which I think was not lost on any of us, was to center on the idea of being stuck, right? Of just like being stuck in like a rut, a repetitive rut even, you could say, and like unable to move forward and unlock.
Yeah.
And with season 4 being the unstuckness. I don't think that necessarily excuses the quality of the season at all, but I thought that was an interesting insight, right? Just because it's something that we harped on so much about it being, hey, let them tell the story they want to tell. In fact, apparently, according to Landgraf, that is what happened.
I will say, like, the excuse being, look, we were shit intentionally doesn't exactly fly, Like, I mean, like, first of all, I think one of the things that we were talking about it, like, the old story where they just asked Storer for 20 episodes made Storer look better, right? It's like, we all understand.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
this story actually just makes him look like, I don't know, a little greedy. I don't let's stretch this shit out when maybe we don't have that story. Look, in all jest, like, even a bad season of The Bear, in my opinion, is good television that I want to watch, and I want to spend time with those characters.
Yeah.
So I'm happy it happened, but I don't know. That doesn't really make it the situation better to me.
No, it's fun. Also, in this interview, the head of FX was like, look, I know audiences. I trust creators. I know the idea thematically of being stuck is not quite riveting television. He was like, but we trust Chris, and it's a really personal story, and he wanted to tell it, and so we went with it. And I just thought that was, little tidbit, little interesting tidbit.
Yeah. No. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for being keeping your finger on the pulse as the LA Food Podcast television correspondent, doing your job for once.
Yeah.
Now, you're also obviously the LA Food Podcast sports correspondent. Have you been keeping track of the World Series?
It's literally on my TV over there. I'm barely paying attention to you.
Yeah, it's on my TV as well. Dear listener, we're actually listening to this during Game 5. So the Dodgers are currently 4-0, 5-0 down?
5-0 down.
5-0 down. It's not looking great for the boys in blue. Isn't that the Police? I think they're intentionally trying to come back and win it in LA. But we're not here to talk about baseball. We're here to talk about the fact that just about every food publication has taken this as inspiration to do some sort of like New York versus Los Angeles food argument. This being an LA food-centric podcast, we're going to talk about Jenn Harris's article that she wrote in the LA Times about this piece specifically. And basically, she's making an impassioned argument for why New York's food doesn't hold a candle to LA's. But what struck me was the thesis that she makes really in the opening of her piece, which is Los Angeles has always been the better food city than New York. Now that struck me because we've talked about how like LA has had a major come up, and now you really can make the argument that it's the greatest food city in America. But Jenn felt like throwing the gauntlet and saying we've always been better. Saul, has LA always been better?
I don't know if I can say that. I wasn't in New York in the 1920s or something.
I hear the pigeon in Central Park slapped back down. Bro.
Right. I will say I do think it's a more recent phenomena that LA has taken over, like holistically, as a better food city. I'd say for me personally, I would have always preferred LA's food to New York food.
Yeah.
Right. Just because I like Mexican cuisine and Japanese and East Asian cuisine. And there are better options for that in LA than I think New York has to offer. I'll also say one of the things with New York, and she has like some great lines in this about how like New York's just an echo chamber where everyone's just like sitting across each other being like, we're the best. We're the best city. We're the happiest. Can you imagine not being here? And it's like, dude, like you live in a 200 square foot studio, like surrounded by rats and garbage. It smells like crap.
Yeah.
Just because you can eat any kind of cuisine in like a 4-block radius doesn't just make it good.
No,
like it doesn't decide. Like that's not what determines it. So I think New York is highly overrated. I think across my lifetime, certainly my adult life, I would never have chosen to eat in New York over LA. Always LA.
Yeah, you've always been a New York hater.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, I grew up in New Jersey, right? So East Coast boy, and therefore I would like take trips to New York when I was like 8 or 9 years old and just be like totally assaulted by sound and noise and smell and be like, what is this? And then more than half my friends after college graduate like high school, go to NYU or whatever school in New York City, and then come back and talk to me like, oh, you have no idea how the city's so great. And I'm like, your life looks like trash. I want you to know that. Like, it looks really terrible. Meanwhile, I'm in the sunshine with a backyard living the life. So I don't know. I don't believe it. I'm a longtime New York hater. I can't deny it.
Yes, I just wanted to make that bias clear before we make our positions known. So
yeah.
Jen's argument, she bases it on how many categories is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 categories.
Yeah, I actually just pause real quick. In the agenda Luca wrote, she makes her argument based on 4 categories and then lists 7 different categories of food. And I'm like, counting is not our strong suit on this podcast. I was
Counting, reading comprehension, not good at any of it. No, it was just I was doing the agenda as I was reading the piece. In fact, I had a question like, dude, how did she forget tacos? And then you get to the end of the piece and she does mention tacos. So
yeah.
again, patience, Luca, patience. But the categories she picks are number 1, pastrami. Number 2, bagels, which she hilariously calls the bread roll with the hole in the middle. 3, fancy smoothies like Erewhon style smoothies. 4, pizza. 5, Korean food. 6, burgers. And 7, of course, tacos. Saul, any issue with these categories? Any that you would add to the mix?
Ooh. Well, the one I thought you might add to the mix is like noodles. Can we go noodles? Like we get, like she says Korean food, but you can go bigger than Korean food. I feel like Alhambra and like the whole valley, like San Gabriel, like she didn't really lean into everything that area has to offer, which I think supersedes what New York can offer.
So she does name check the area, basically being like, she grew up here. I think she may have grown up in the San Gabriel Valley. Actually, I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But she mentions like childhood memories of eating dumplings in the San Gabriel Valley.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling if she didn't mention it, it's because New York can maybe make a pretty good claim to having like good East Asian food of that variety. And certainly if you've ever been to like Flushing, Queens, like it's like pretty damn good food there. I don't know, maybe I'm being a little like Anthony Bourdain pilled with that kind of statement. San Gabriel Valley is incredible. There's so much there.
Have you been to Flushing, Queens?
No, I actually I have been to Flushing, Queens. I actually, when my family lived in Connecticut for 2 years.
Oh.
And when I would go back, I would force my siblings to come with me on these like wild food excursions I'd seen on television, and I forced them to come with me to Flushing, Queens to just go like basically walk around and try different Chinese foods. And it was heaven for me, absolute hell for them as I saw them struggling with like pig's feet and stuff.
Completely forgot that you lived in the US for 2 years. Like completely forgot that was a thing.
I didn't.
Your family did.
My family did. I was already in LA.
Oh, okay.
Don't conflate me with Connecticut, okay? I am not Silver Spoon, Connecticut. Don't put that on me.
I was completely confused by that. Okay, that makes more sense. You asked me, okay, about these categories and how I feel about them. Look, generally, again, my bias, I'm rocking with all this stuff. The throw down the gauntlet here, like, look, smoothies, burgers, tacos, and yes, I'm putting burgers on the list. I like think are LA home court foods. Like I think like LA owns
In-N-Out.
Yeah, In-N-Out. Like what they have like Shake Shack or whatever. Like
yeah,
In-N-Out, but also
that's really what she's saying. She's saying In-N-Out over Shake Shack is what she's saying.
That's right. But even beyond that, I think LA is a better, more diverse and well established burger city than New York. I just think it is. Like there's like I think more diversity and creativity and quality of burger in LA. I will make that argument. The gauntlet here is pastrami, bagels, and pizza.
Yeah.
That's where she's like really challenging. I've had Katz's, I've had Langer's. Give me Langer's every day.
Wow.
Like I give me Langer's every day. Yeah, no. Beyond just like the quality, price point, like everything about the experience, I'm taking Langer's, right?
Yeah, I agree with that. But flavor wise too, she really nails it on the head. She's saying like Langer's is like softer, melts in your mouth, whereas the Katz's one is more like stiff and thick cut.
Yeah.
And I think it's a preference thing, but I do think that I prefer the Langer's one, especially when you consider it's being paired with that double baked rye.
Yeah.
And that double baked rye, like you can't top, and no deli in New York I've ever been to is able to top that.
Yep, 100% correct. Bagels. Now here's the thing with bagels. I know, like again, heavy bias coming through. The New York style bagel, the thickness of it, the heft of it, the quality, like I actually am unmoved by. I think bagels are like I think bagels are pretty like you hit a threshold and you're good on bagels, right? Like it's not like you have to always be hitting this with bagels. As long as you're not shit, as long as you like hit a certain level,
yeah,
I'm good with bagels. And LA is able to hit that threshold. I think like not quite as consistently, but like like it's there. So
not just that though. I do think there is, and she mentions this one bagel that transcends all bagels in LA, and that is Courage Bagels. Have you been to Courage yet?
Have not. I can't wait,
dude.
Can't wait to try.
That is gotta be top of our list, and that is one of those places that I was so eye-rolly going into it. Like I was like, there's no way I'm going to like this long ass line for a piece of bread. Like that cost $20. Like never going to be into this.
Yeah.
So into it, it hurts, dude. It's like, it really delivers because it's so light, got this like slight char on the exterior. It doesn't even feel like you're eating a bagel. Some people liken it to Montreal style bagels, though I can't really speak to that. Never had those, but like, I mean, the fact that we have those alone makes a case for why Jenn might be right.
Like I will say, like I'm okay with the argument that it's harder to find consistently good bagels in LA than New York. That's fine.
Yeah,
but you can, like, I would call it a push at the worst, right? You can find like a great bagel in LA. You can find a great bagel in Seattle, right? Bagels are not rocket science. You can do bagels. Now here's last one, pizza, and then I want to hear from you on this.
Wow.
Here's my take on pizza. First of all, New York's not even the best pizza on the East Coast. Like, let's be honest. The best pizza on the East Coast is in New Jersey. You heard me? Yeah, no, you heard me right. The best pizza on the East Coast is in the state of New Jersey. The most consistently high quality New York quote unquote style slice is actually in Jersey.
Yeah.
That's where you go. Dave, what's his name? Dave Portnoy's highest rated pizza on his little thing, Jersey pizza.
I love how you like selectively choose Portnoy's data when it suits you.
This is the only time I've ever positively referenced him in my life. So, but I'm taking it. Yeah. I'm fucking taking it, right? So let's put that aside. Then the other flip of it is New York, like LA's pizza scene has obviously blossomed, and again provides, I think, greater diversity. We got fucking Bianco, dude. Like, yeah, come on.
Pizza wise, yeah, I think the thing is like it's same with bagels and same with pizza. To your point, it's like, yes, maybe you can like walk outside and find a pizza place or a bagel spot easier than you can here in LA. Mm-hmm. But that's just a function of how our cities are designed.
Yeah.
Literally, yes, you have to get in a car to go anywhere in LA and everything has to become a bit more of a destination. But there are so many pizza destinations in LA now that everyone likes to say that it's, what the strength of LA is its variety of pizzas. I don't even think that's true necessarily. Like literally just the artisanship and the skill of our pizza makers in general. That's the reason we have variety, is because we have skilled ass pizza makers, right? So who are actually like bakers who really understand dough and can wield it into whatever they so choose. And the reason we have different varieties is because they want to differentiate themselves from each other, right? To offer something different. But that's why I think we have the best pizza scene in the country, I think. I feel good throwing that down. I had 5 of the best slices Manhattan has to offer back in April. One was amazing. L'Industrie was truly amazing. But the rest, dude, those are like LA 6s or 7s.
Yeah, dude. Like literally, look, New York is a city based on a brand, right? Like on an identity and a mythos that the city can no longer reach. I'm going there, bro. Like it's a husk of a city of the city it once was. It's overpriced, and literally, like when you talk about these things, like yes, public transportation, sure, give it to them. Jenn gives it to them. Absolutely.
Yeah.
The density of the city, which makes it easier. Like literally, I think people sometimes confuse proximity from walking to like a bunch of spots.
Yes.
With quality. It's not the same.
100%.
With the quality of the scene, it's not the same, right? Just because you have to drive 10, 15 to get down to Bianco in the Arts District doesn't mean that the spot down the block for you in New York is better.
Yeah.
Like, or that you have 5 spots around you doesn't mean the food scene is better. No, we got Bianco.
Yeah.
Right? Like that it's better. It's better here.
Dude, that New York rant was one mention of crime away from being a Trump stump speech, honestly, in terms of what's happening to our cities. But yeah, I do think that there's one key thing that Jenn failed to mention in her piece, which I think is truly actually the main reason why LA food is better than New York right now, but maybe has always been better than New York food. We just didn't know it. And that is the produce here.
She mentions that.
Does she mention the produce?
Briefly. Very, very briefly. She's like, we have access to better produce. You're exactly correct. You're 100% right. She should have leaned into it. It should have been a category.
Yeah.
That literally the produce and access to great produce in LA is better than New York, and therefore fundamentally the food is better. I'll find this reference to you.
Yeah, because I read it twice, but yeah, I guess my reading comprehension really is that shit. But maybe I just...
It's literally the second paragraph. The second paragraph she says it.
Wow. But yeah, okay, then I'll make my point that she should have leaned harder into it. Because honestly, that is our key differentiator here in LA. Think about being in a city where your chefs are so limited in terms of what they can cook based on seasons. In some ways, I can see how some people could flip that into being beautiful because like you only have something for a certain amount of time. But no, dude, there's a reason why a lot of chefs end up moving from the East Coast to California.
Mm-hmm.
And the number one thing I consistently hear is produce, 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 you know? So I just think there's no getting around that one as one of the main things you have to point to.
Yeah, yeah. Conversation's over. We fucking win. Unlike the Dodgers tonight, unfortunately, but you never know.
Hey, by the time the listeners are listening to this podcast, maybe things have turned around.
There you go.
I did want to say I do think there are a couple areas where New York is better than LA, though.
Ooh, oh, okay.
I hear that high-end sushi is better in New York.
So I have not. I like based on what I've heard of the scene, sure, but I don't know. Like sushi, high-end sushi. I'll do this trip with you, man. We can go to the highest rated sushi restaurant in New York versus LA and see if it's really that different. Like really that different. Yeah.
I feel like we need to take an expert because I don't think you and I would be able to necessarily distinguish. But
it's fish, fucking fish. I like it,
dude. This was fish. That was fish. Much for muchness. That's one area, and the other, obviously, they have more Michelin stars than us.
Yeah.
Right. So like that level of fine dining restaurant, then I'm talking like 2-star, 3 stars. Like they have more right now. That's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. No, look, it's the truth, right? We're like, I'll put aside like the kind of like half joking like bias. Yes, I think the fine dining scene is better established in New York, more accessible. Michelin has a longer relationship with New York, right? That makes sense. New York also has Boudelot. I gotta say, the greatest Top Chef champion of all time.
Speaking of, are you looking forward to joining Compliments of the Chef here in a couple weeks?
Oh, I can't wait. I can't fucking wait. Also, dude, I'm fully invested in Great British Bake Off.
Yeah.
Like I'm fully following and I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, dear listener, in case you missed it, we're going to be on the Compliments of the Chef pod in a couple weeks' time, November 15th, I want to say, to talk about, to recap an episode of the Great British Bake Off with Nancy and Bits on that podcast. I can't wait. I think this is a really good season, actually. I mean, I think they said it themselves, like the level of baking on the season is kind of like they've never seen anything like it.
Again, the level of baking is entirely irrelevant to my enjoyment of the show because it's all amateur trash and it's baking, so it doesn't matter. But the personalities have been great. And I got to say, the co-hosts, Noel, and I'm going to forget her name, but she's
Allison.
I think Allison's a great addition to the show.
Yeah.
And their energy plus the quality and like the character of some of these contestants makes it a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, look, speaking of someone who would be a great addition to our overall lives, I wanted to quickly touch on Vice President Kamala Harris's passion for food because, you know, the election, dude, the next time you come on this podcast, the election will have happened. Which is crazy to think about. Like it's breathing down our necks.
Oh boy.
The anxiety is real. We're all planning what we're going to order that night, right? At least the foodies in this world are. As you can imagine, a lot of food websites and news outlets are looking to insert themselves into this story. And we've seen it done to, you know, a middling effect in the past, in my opinion. But I thought there was a pretty good one by Megan McCarran, who actually wrote the piece on Little Tokyo that we talked about last week. This time she wrote for Bon Appetit. And the piece's argument is essentially that what kind of sets Kamala apart from past candidates who have always done photo shoots surrounding food, right? Like taking big bites of turkey legs and whatnot at like Iowa State fairs, is that her passion really comes across as genuine. Like she's actually genuinely excited when she sees like a chocolate cake in a bakery or something like that. She knows about food. She's done cooking with like Kamala videos. And that has actually been an effective point of connection to voters. That is the argument. I saw you shake your head. Why'd you do that?
Well, no, I believe so. First of all, Kamala is apparently an actually good cook.
Mm-hmm.
Like she can cook and cooks well and enjoys cooking, dude. It, like not a political statement at all. If I just like chose my presidents based on their ability to like their diet and cooking ability, this would be like straightforward fight, yeah. Right? I certainly personally also find that charming and like connectable. Do I really care?
Yeah.
No. Do a lot of voters really care? I kind of doubt it. It's a humanizing thing, and I think it speaks to I believe personally, due to our interest in food and cooking, that it indicates to me that she is some form of good person. That's not how it works. I know that's not like actually, but like I respect people who cook and enjoy cooking and enjoy eating. So that definitely resonated. but I don't think it's a broader.
Yeah, no. In fact, I don't think that there's a single voter who will be swayed by the food decisions of a president. But I do think that there's actually something to be said for it in a campaign. You're thinking of like, what are your candidates' strengths and what are their vulnerabilities?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that like one of Kamala's vulnerabilities has always been her authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
Like people have always questioned how genuine she is. Like people have called her like fake and that she's like kind of just turning things off for the cameras. I think the fact that her appreciation for food comes across as so genuine actually helps with that vulnerability. Now, you kind of got to look at it as like an overall picture. And so while it might not sway any one voter, it certainly doesn't hurt her overall. In that sense, food might be saving the election, brother.
Who knows, man? Who knows? I appreciate your political insights, which are your opinions and yours alone, and I'm not participating in any political analysis. However, I will say, if there is a voter who was like, I don't know, and then saw Kamala cooking and was like, that's my girl, respect to that voter. Respect to that voter.
I want to know that voter, yeah. I mean, the old adage used to be like, who do you most want to get a beer with? And that's kind of like who wins. But like,
right.
I mean, since, Trump doesn't drink, you can't really have that sort of argument, but you can have the whose house would you rather eat at? I think that one's clear.
That one's clear. And respect to him for not drinking because he seems drunk all the time. Cut that, please.
I'm not cutting that. Look, I did want to say, like, there was a really interesting, like, little aside in Megan's piece where she was talking about some of like the faux pas that candidates have made in the past. I'm really excited, by the way, for JD Vance's stop at the donut store to go down in history as one, because that was legendary.
Legendary.
But one of my favorite ones that she mentioned is, were you aware that Gerald Ford ate a tamale, husk and all?
I mean, it's kind of an alpha move.
It really is.
It's kind of like an intimidation move, honestly, but that's really funny. I mean, it's just like ripping through it, just like pushing it. Yeah, sounds gross.
It doesn't sound great.
That's a bad look. Yeah,
it doesn't sound great. I came up with a couple of LA specific like sins you could do in the food world, and I wanted to hear your take on them. You down?
Totally.
Number one would be, what if a candidate rolled up a taco and sucked out the filling?
Hard to imagine. Yes, certainly a faux. That to me is less like a faux pas and more like, are you a human? Like, what planet are you from? To me, the actual faux pas would be eating a taco with a fork and knife. Like that's like a believable like you doing that incorrectly. This is a much funnier image though. I appreciated the brainstorming.
You're welcome. The second one is licking a chili dog like an ice cream cone.
Yeah, vaguely sexual also like you can see a Clinton doing this. Bill Clinton.
Yeah, might get some votes.
Also gross, also funny. This one I think is more a believable scenario than the sucking out the filling of a taco.
Yeah, and finally, saying your favorite food podcast is the one with the copyright breach in the name.
yeah, that would actually, if anything, look, would at least get some attention on this ongoing infringement. So you never know.
Well, we prefer our copyright breaches in the intro music. That's where we like it.
There we go.
You ready for a quick round of Chef's Kiss or Big Miss?
Yes, sir.
By the way, did you notice that I added music to it last time?
Oh, no, I didn't. I actually haven't listened to our last episode.
I knew you had.
Dude, I've been busy. I've been busy. I got stuff to do over here.
I added like a little theme song for Chef's Kiss. I think it's a hit. You're going to have to listen to it this week, okay?
Oh, that's great. All right, can't wait.
All right, play the theme song. All right, number one. Gruesome Halloween-themed foods. I posted a link to an LAist article about this, but it's things like cookies shaped like, witches' nails and like, eyeball sandwiches and things of that nature.
Yeah, no, miss me with this. I never have liked Halloween food. It's not the holiday for food. I get why people do it, but like, like things that look like eyeballs or fucking fingers, like it's always gross to me. Blood, black, like the things that are.
I do not want any food that looks like fucking fingers. I'll tell you that much.
like obviously in the picture here, yeah, dude, no, I'm not about it. Keep food the correct color, keep it the correct shape. I sound like a Scrooge for Halloween. I think I kind of am at this point. Yeah. Not a costume guy, not a Halloween food guy. Yeah, no, miss.
All right, well, because Thanksgiving is coming up, some places are putting out articles about where to go to dinner on Thanksgiving. Is going to dinner on Thanksgiving, like out at a restaurant, chef's kiss or big miss?
Look, it's acceptable. It's acceptable under certain scenarios, right? Of course, the ideal Thanksgiving, you're able to go to either family or friend's house, celebrate it, but not everyone has that opportunity, right? Sometimes people are separated from their family, or living abroad or across the country, or don't have I think it's totally fine to have the option to go out on Thanksgiving. Not opposed to it. I think it's in fact an important service. Chef's kiss.
That was like really, really moving, dude.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you.
I'm moved. All right.
I got empathy.
You got hella empathy. All right, look, there's a new Yelp/DoorDash style website for the house-run restaurants that we talked about a few weeks ago because LA County is now permitting restaurants to run out of the homes. Chef's kiss or big miss?
Hell yeah. I can't wait to check this out. I'm literally like loading it up right now. Makes it, is the idea that it's not delivery, right? It's just that it's like basically flagging for you where those restaurants are so you can check them out.
I'm unclear on that because when I was on the website, it seemed like they were trying to do delivery as well. So I think maybe they'll like hook up with some other service like a DoorDash or a Postmates eventually but yeah, I think initially it's to find the restaurants, and it's called Homemade LA, by the way. We should name check them.
Homemade LA. What'll be weird about making a delivery though is because they can only serve like a couple hundred meals, right? We talked about that, and it feels like, so look, I'm not opposed to it being delivery. It'd be cooler if it's mainly focused on the location so folks can identify where those restaurants are at in homes and go find them. That's cool.
Yeah. All right. Next one, Lori Ochoa in her tasting notes column wrote about burgers in Los Angeles and pointed to the fact that one of the things she loves about burgers in Los Angeles is that they have this crisp iceberg lettuce on them, especially the classic ones, right? Like In-N-Out, Pie and Burger, Apple Pan. Crisp iceberg lettuce on a burger sauce, chef's kiss or big miss?
I am generally a fan. I like my lettuce on burgers, which can be iceberg lettuce. I do like it shredded more than just like the cup of iceberg.
Wrong.
Why are you shaking your head?
Yeah,
shredded lettuce? No. Shredded lettuce on the burger is correct. That's like how. No. That is. That's how the ideal burger. Shredded lettuce on like a
ideal
patty
burger?
on top. No, yeah. I mean, that, like I won't go that far. But I'm really happy with like shredded lettuce. It just like sits better than just the iceberg. But I totally like the crispy iceberg lettuce on like an In-N-Out. Apple Pan burger, I said this last time. I didn't like the hickory burger from Apple Pan. I think just like the flavor that went into it, but the construction with the iceberg lettuce is totally fine.
You might get canceled for that, bro. That's kind of a mainstay.
Man, I feel like I have to go back and try it again.
Yeah.
Like, I want to try it again.
Well, Pie and Burger was one of my favorite burgers I've had all year, and they do the really big iceberg lettuce. I think that's the way you got to do it, because the thing is, when you shred the lettuce, you lose all the texture. Not all the texture, but I really think you get most of the crunch. It's the same idea with the Bub and Grandma's tuna sandwich, right? Like, you keep the lettuce thick because it provides that crunch. And I think like a burger can be really soft, and pickles don't really give you the same crunch that iceberg lettuce does. So to me, thick iceberg lettuce, give it to me all day. Chef's kiss for me.
Sounds good. You are correct. You lose some of the crunchiness with the shredding. Not all of it though. Not all of it.
Yeah, it's fine. Hashtag not all crunchiness. Okay, last one. Scammers. I don't know. I found this article. I thought it was kind of funny, but I actually feel really bad for this establishment. Scammers stole $400,000 worth of cheddar cheese from a cheese shop in London. Saul? I'm going to say for this, I mean, is this this one may be clear, but is this a chef's kiss or a big miss? I love that we can use these as sort of just like a general litmus test of your morality.
I really want to say chef's kiss. Look, the ultimate crime. Ocean's 11, Ocean's 14 about stealing cheddar cheese? Totally. No, it's very sad. I'm curious. I didn't, because again, with chef's kiss, big miss, I just read the headline.
Yeah. How
did they scam $400,000? Like, scamming is a very specific word. They didn't steal it.
Yeah,
they scammed it. So I want to know what this the thing was that they did here.
I think the heist consisted of like intercepting the cheese wheels while they were in transport. So it's,
dude, honestly,
yeah.
Let's write the script, man. This is a fucking movie.
Ocean's 14, the big cheese, and that's what we'll call it. Yeah.
It's all the dudes from Ocean's like 12 or whatever, all like the famous actors, and just us two. Like we have an idea. we have a crime we could do. Yes.
It's the new gold, especially in this economy. Look, you got any thing you want to rant about on Let Me Cook, or any shitty Yelp reviews of the week?
I do have a shitty Yelp review I can share if we got time.
We got time.
So look, and you know what? I'm just gonna do the reveal right here. I'm moving.
What?
Yeah, I'm moving. Yeah, dude. Yeah, this is a big surprise for you. You had no idea. I am
finally moving to Canada.
Finally going to Canada? No, man, I'm not. Saul's coming home.
Oh shit, dude. Oh
Saul's coming home to LA, man. We are moving down to LA literally on Friday. We start driving. Can't wait. I've been psyched about this with you for so long.
Yeah.
I think I can officially share it at this point. We're in the clear. And so obviously moving and all the logistics that come with it, plenty of opportunities to be a shitty boyfriend.
Oh.
I will say, I'm really good at logistics now. As you know, from itinerary planning, all this stuff, I am like on it with that. Emily and I have the most divergent interior design styles that you could possibly imagine. Like literally, I was talking to Isa on the phone the other day, and I literally said, it's almost like one of Emily's eyes is a kaleidoscope, and she doesn't realize it. like colors, style, all that stuff. But we're going to our new place down in Larchmont.
That's great. Centrally located for all LA Food Pod reasons.
There you go. And we're making decisions about stuff like the bowls and glasses that we want to stock the place with, carpets, couches, all the things. And it's so difficult that I decide I've been trying my best. Here's my plan, dude. I was like, I'm just going to say yes to whatever she says so that she can see what a bad idea it is. It's a little toxic. It's a toxic approach.
It'll never work, bro.
First of all, it'll likely never work. Second of all, I can't fucking do it. I can't keep my mouth shut. She'll be like, what about this color for the couch? And I'm like, it's never happening. It's just never happening. I'm never allowing that. And I'm like, and I feel like such a bad person because I'm really intending. I just really want her to make these decisions and own them so I can be like, remember when you made this decision? Can we look back and see what a mistake it was now? And literally, it reminds, there's a New Girl episode, season 6, called Jaipur Aviv, where Schmidt and Cece, two of the characters, are doing the same thing. And Schmidt has like the perfect interior design eye and like the ideal way to like set up the house. I'm Schmidt in this scenario. Cece wants to make their doorbell La Cucaracha, right? And Schmidt's like freaks out about it. I'm literally living this scenario right now. And I've not been able to like just be like to let it go. I can't let it go.
Yeah.
I can't let it go. A good boyfriend would do one of two things. One, they'd be like, absolutely, I support your decision here, baby. Let's do it. Or they'd be like, I don't agree, but like, let's compromise. We'll find a way. I just have to be like, just not in my house. It's just not happening in my house. I can't help it.
You're in a unique position. I mean, like, I feel like I'm blessed with a wife who has immaculate taste, right? Like, I literally, I just shut up and let her do her thing. I think I picked one thing in our house, and it's this table that I am currently recording on, and I'm extremely proud of it. But I'm also like really proud because she okayed it, right? Like it's like I picked something and she approved it.
Oh yeah.
But like for you, yeah, I mean, dude, you might be doing God's work there. I don't know what she's picking.
Look, I am. What's funny about this too is because I have lived with you and have also designed a house like with you. I know that Morgan is the me in this scenario, and that you're the one who's who bought like 3 colored boxes at Melrose Market, and just like, let's put them on the wall. And I'm like, these empty boxes. You want to put empty boxes on the wall? I'm just watching you hammer nails repeatedly, not finding a stud, and falling out. So and then insisting that any artwork we have is purely comprised of geometric shapes. Like any graffiti or abstract ideas like stress you out. And I'm like, what is this world I'm living in? And so yes, we are in mirrored scenarios.
I think your instinct on this one gets you 1 star because it's definitely a toxic instinct. But like
it definitely 100% toxic instinct. Yeah.
But ultimately, I think if you're doing God's work, you're doing God's work, man. So maybe it's redeemable.
Dude, my mom is an interior designer. It's in my blood, dude. Like I know I'm right. I know I'm right. And some of the ideas, I literally again said to Isa was like, I don't understand. Like, what's so bad about Emily? And I was like, Isa, next time you're in town, we're just gonna find you a room with Emily, an empty room somehow, and just ask her how she decorated it, and just listen and just listen.
I feel like she's a creative, you know. You gotta let him cook sometimes.
I know, look, I'm trying to let her cook, and I just can't. I can't do it. I'm trying my best, dude. Holy shit, Dodgers game is tied. How about that,
dude? I know. I was trying not to like celebrate while you were telling your story, but 5-5, they came back.
What a game, baby! This could be it. This could be it tonight.
This could be it. My wife did say she had a feeling that tonight would be the night. All right, so we've talked long enough. We said it would be short, but it's just about as long as ever. Whatever. But this was very enjoyable, and the news that you're coming back to LA is not just great news for me. It's great news for the entire city of Los Angeles. I think you could single-handedly like bring back the restaurant economy with all the money you're going to spend there.
Can't wait to spend it. Can't wait to eat it. Can't wait to finally, man. This podcast, we're going to take it to the next level. We'll do a proper announcement. This is at the very tail end of like a 50-minute long conversation. We'll do a proper thing, but I can't fucking wait.
What are they going to criticize us on now? That was the thing, right? You like
it's the only thing we got. Like I don't know. Sorry.
I know.
We're bulletproof.
Perfect
baby.
Now.
Bulletproof.
Bulletproof. All right. Enough of that. We'll be back with Luke Reyes and Reilly Cox right after the break. Dear listener, I am so excited because today we're kicking off a very special journey in LA food podcast history, and we'll get into that in just a moment. But first, I would like to welcome two very special individuals to the podcast, Luke Reyes and Reilly Cox. Luke, Reilly, how you guys doing today?
Good.
Doing great. Thanks for having us.
Good. A little bit better now after we got the signing on to Riverside bugs out of the system, Chef?
Figuring it out, tech is not my strong suit.
Well, look, I was just saying, I usually introduce our guests and give a list of all their bona fides and everything, but because we're going on a bit of a different journey with you two, I'd love for you to just quickly introduce yourselves to our listeners. Reilly, why don't we start with you?
Hi, I'm Reilly. I'm going to be opening up this project with Luke, Cafe Esca, doing everything from the beverage side. But currently I manage Psychic Wines in Silver Lake and then have worked in restaurants in both Chicago and in LA. And I'm really excited to kind of start this project because I think it'll be something where I think Luke and I have found a lot of similar perspectives of allowing wine and food to kind of be in conversation with one another. And so, I think that's my introduction.
Nailed it. Literally nailed it. Over to you, Chef.
Far less eloquent than Chef Rye, but I'm Luke Reyes. I'm chef and co-owner of Cafe Esca, and I own a few other projects, Rita's Deluxe. Chef living in Los Angeles from Massachusetts. Dad, really excited to start this with you guys.
Very, very exciting. Okay, well, let's zoom out before we get into the current project. And you mentioned Massachusetts, Luke, so let's start with you. I understand, have held just about every job in the kitchen. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the traditional, path of at least cooks used to take, and maybe the harder one. But started working at McDonald's at 15 years old, and from there went to work, being a dishwasher, busboy, front of house, back of house. Have served in Cheesecake Factory in college, to cooking in 2 Michelin star restaurants in New York. Then moved to LA about 15 years ago. I've worked with a bunch of chefs, owned some places, consulted, and now have kind of, settled back down in Los Angeles and started a place about a year ago and called Rita's Deluxe, and kind of figuring out what the path forward with restaurants as a adult in 2024 looks like.
Yeah. We're going to probably need to do a whole episode on Cheesecake Factory at some point, but that's a different...
Hey, I will do 50 episodes about Cheesecake Factory. We'll just go cheesecake by cheesecake.
Or you could just do one menu page.
Yeah. The question is, was your white uniform clean?
Man, literally never. But I would find... Here's the thing. I would find the most amazing ways to hide the thing. Got real good at bib apron here, folded this way, server apron. Real good with a Tide stick.
Real good with the Tide stick. Luke, I understand you came to LA to work actually on one of my favorite restaurants at the time, the Gorbals in downtown LA. How did that opportunity come about?
So I came here 15 years ago. Actually, I was living in New York. Came for Coachella. I had never been to the West Coast, and it was it's rainy season in the East Coast, and I came here and LA at the time was like seeing things in like Technicolor for like, sounding as cheesy as possible. But it was the most amazing time of a food scene. For me, I was in like, I had been working in fine dining in the East Coast for years, and seeing what was going on here, like Animal had just opened, and got to like experience those things. And when I went back, obviously, going to Coachella and having my mind blown literally, but open things up a little bit. But I went back to the East Coast and I was like, what the fuck am I doing here? And I, literally within weeks packed up and moved out here because there was such a interesting opportunity to be part of this thing, in any version. After coming here, I staged with Ludo at Ludo Bites when he first opened, and went and met Ilan and at Gorbals. I was living downtown because it reminded me of New York, and I came onto that as like chef de cuisine and whatever version of that was, in this little place, and we had a lot of fun. It was definitely an interesting time there in downtown in LA. Yeah, we made some waves. It was fun.
That's one way to put it. That was such a funky little restaurant. You walked through like the lobby of this like old building, right? And then
the Alexandria, yeah.
Yeah, the Alexandria. It was wow. It was like going in a time capsule, and then all of a sudden you're like having this amazing food. Like it was a really trippy experience. Reilly, you yourself though, you are from Southern California, I just learned.
Yeah, I grew up in Newport Beach, and I think growing up in California and being able to drive and use the trains, we were always kind of exploring, whether that's coming up to LA or going to San Francisco or finding ourselves in the desert. I was kind of always spending time here, and then moved to Chicago for school after that. And then the pandemic actually brought me back here in like a kind of similar state of like, I had left and was here for a month during the pandemic, and then I didn't book a ticket back, and then I flew back from Chicago, and I was like, what am I doing here? And then found an opportunity, and then moved. So
how did you get into the hospitality world?
I've been working in restaurants since I was 15, but unlike Luke, I went to this restaurant called Greenleaf, which was this like, I was like massaging kale. And working their juice bar at this place in Costa Mesa. And I think I was always I've always kind of been curious about the things I've consumed, whether from like a stance of being picky, or I was like the beer I was drinking playing beer pong in high school and like wanting like the best cheaper beer, and like understanding how that was made. And it kind of, I think that perspective kind of carried into me working in restaurants. I've also always worked because I grew up in a place that, money was handed to my peers, and a little bit more accessible. And I always felt like I wanted to do and be something a little different. So I've kind of always worked. And so when I went to Chicago, I worked in restaurants there. I was like bartending at this like funky bar called Lily's when I was 18.
Sounds legal.
This woman with like magical red hair. That was like very not okay for me to be doing. And then I helped open a restaurant in the Ace Hotel, and worked with a really incredible beverage director there, and then started working at Avec, which is a restaurant that's been there for over 20 years now, and like does all wood fire Mediterranean food.
Oh, I love Avec.
Yeah, it was, I think it was through the curiosity of what I was eating and drinking, and then also just a desire to make my own money.
Yeah, totally. And Avec, did it just close? Did I make that up?
No, Blackbird did. Yeah, the restaurant next door, which was like the original restaurant that they had opened. Paul Kahn had opened, was next door, and Avec was open to be the wine bar to like hold the overflow.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of one of the first restaurants that started the West Loop in Chicago, or Blackbird kind of was, because now that area is like this industrial zone that's really well known for restaurants. And Avec opened up as the wine bar, 5 tables in one long bar, just to like have people have a snack and a bite, and it's kind of evolved into its own restaurant as such.
Yeah, the dates.
I
remember the dates. Were they chorizo stuffed or something? Like, it feels like now it's something you see a lot of places, but at the time,
exactly,
that was like a revolutionary dish.
Legendary. Yeah. They're chorizo stuffed dates. wrapped in bacon, served with like a piquillo pepper sauce.
Oof.
And everything when you go to the restaurant, you like look at the kitchen. It's feels like it's 8 feet long. It's tiny, and most of it's this oven. And so the poor cooks who would be working there would just have their like back to the flame and just be sweating in the middle of the restaurant. But yeah, that was a really, really special place, and I think taught me a lot about restaurants and working small. And
I want to hear about what you've been up to most recently in Los Angeles.
I moved back here, and I was working in wine in Chicago at a place called Red and White Wines. And I think kind of the same thing, where I'd become really fascinated with wine due to understanding its process. And I remember the first time I had wines made without sulfur added to them, I felt the prickle in your tongue, and I was so swooned by it. And I lived near Red and White, and so I started working there. And then through that, there's a shop called Diversey Wines in Chicago that I would also go to, which is the sister shop to Psychic Wines. When I would come home every year for Christmas, I would go. Psychic had opened in 2018. I would go and buy a case for my family, and kind of through that and through the Diversey connection, got to know Quinn and Zach a little bit. And when they found out I moved back, offered me a position there. And so I've been working at Psychic for the last 4 years. I love it, and I'm so grateful for them.
Yeah.
I think it's a shop that feels really special. I mean, for me, but then also because there's its own publication, and I think the people who go there, it's a place that it's like a very clear perspective about what and why it does, what it does and why it does it. And so, yeah, I've learned a lot being there and having access through that shop, through both travel opportunities, and the community of people who go to that shop are really the coolest and so lovely. And they just get it, and it's really lovely.
That's awesome. So I have to ask, but how did you two meet?
How did Luke and I meet? So, well, I'd be curious on what Luke says, because, well, essentially the way that we met is, so my boyfriend Joseph, Luke knows Dean, who's the lead at and who's the business owner of 22RE, this architecture firm, where my boyfriend Joseph's the interior designer. And through that, they kept telling me about Luke, and they kept saying, you guys should meet. But then I was like, okay, then have us meet. Then, a couple of months later, I get a message from Luke, wanting to meet up, and we had a conversation, and it kind of really clicked from there. And then next thing you know, we were kind of rolling. And through there, it's been really wonderful to get to know him and his beautiful daughter, Willa, and his wife, Lucy. And, they're good people.
And because we know there are two versions to every story, Luke, what's your version of that story?
So there's this app called Farmers Only. Now, so the way that we met is actually, Reilly probably doesn't know the other side of it. Dean Levin is a designer and partner in the restaurant we're opening, Cafe Esca. Dean and I have known each other for some years. This thing that we're doing, I kind of was like, okay, as I developed the concept in my brain, I was like, oh, it's going to be a wine bar, wine focused. I'm a chef. If I'm going to do a wine thing, I have to get the wine guy, wine person. They need to be a stud. And talking with Dean, I was like, do you know anyone? And he's like, actually, I know this girl. She actually dates, one of my designers. And I'm like, this was, 6 months before Reilly and I even met. And I'm like, can you connect us? And Dean is in, a little bit of a procrastinator. He's like, she's in Sardinia right now. When she comes back from Sardinia, I'll connect you. And I just kept hammering. And eventually I was like, we connected. And I knew, I talked to some people. I did, some research on what Reilly was doing at Psychic Wines. And I was like, this is my guy. And, I'm a very transparent person of here's what I'm looking for. I can't do this alone. I want someone to come on and be a partner and to if I'm not going to pretend and bring a consultant, I want someone to live and breathe this thing and be part of the program and tell the story and be a face to it. And I'm not going to pretend that I'm that person because one, I don't have the capability, knowledge, wherewithal, but also I'm not that guy. And Reilly and I have gotten to know each other, and she's stepped up to the plate and the most amazing ways that like, she possibly that I could have imagined, and things that I couldn't, which is like teaching me how to charge a laptop. And I'm sending her, we're like having meeting minutes, and I'm sending her in notes apps, and she's like, "Hey, you adorable guy." She's like, "This is the most chef," and it's so like organized and smart and talented, and this is just the beginning. I'm very, very excited.
Thank you.
So Reilly, when you heard about this opportunity, like, did you immediately jump at it, or did you have to think about it a little bit?
Well, I think I didn't know, because it was something that, Dean would tell me about it, and then like Joseph told me about it, but then it was always something that like was fleeting. And so I was like, until I have a conversation with Luke, it's not something that's real. And I also didn't know with them. And so I kind of waited until they approached me, because I wanted to be like brought an idea, and it was kind of vague from what I had what had been presented to me, and this thing that was going to happen. And so I think once Luke and I had the first conversation, I was absolutely down. I was very curious and excited, and I think the way that him and I both talked about food and wine, and that conversation felt like we had a shared sense of values. And I also think that he's doing it very right, in the way that there are places, I think sometimes, where there are misses in restaurants in Los Angeles, is there's a really, really incredible food program, and the beverage side misses, or there's a really incredible beverage program and the food side misses. And I think that like there are definitely restaurants here that do that and execute it so well, but I think Luke being like, "Hey, I don't know this. Will you help me?" and bringing me on as early as I am brought on into like the conversations about where the taps are going to go, or where the fridges are going to go in the bar, and the early design of the restaurant, so that it could be something that flows for both like a service standpoint, but also hopefully for like the way that people enjoy the restaurant. Having those conversations as early as we are, while there's still dirt in the ground, or even before there was dirt in the ground, felt good and important. So I think he has a really good perspective and head on his shoulders, and has moved forward in a very excellent, or a way that I agree with. So, yeah.
For me, when Reilly says like where the taps are going to go, and where the to have that conversation as early as possible. But literally the design, like as a chef I've done this for 20 years now, and I've been a partner, and I've helped things where I've come on projects where there's like, oh, we had a kitchen designer, right? And I was like, oh, well, why did this guy put a fucking fryer next to the dishwasher? And I think that would literally be the situation with me. Like I could go and figure out where, like, here's how a bar looks, or I could say like, Reilly, how do you want your bar to look? How do you want our bar to look and function and flow? And like, oh, here's a cool way. Like instead of putting an ice bucket on top of a table with a linen, why don't we build this thing in and design like a well that's trenched out and has plumbing and like part of the thing? And like, again, looking at what this project is, and what like, this is an opportunity that hopefully turns into many more together. It's like, how do we design this thing with the idea of function, and also with like making it something that she and we can be like, okay, as much as I'm a part of it, she is a part of it, and guests feel that, and that translates to the staff and the guests eventually,
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. So we've kind of danced around it, like in terms of what the concept is, and you guys have alluded to it as Cafe Esca, but let's hear a little bit about the concept. Like, what is it? And then I'd also like to know, what came first, the opportunity or the concept? Like the opportunity to do a new restaurant, and then you fit the concept into it? Or was this a concept you always wanted to do and you were just waiting for the right opportunity?
I think that it's kind of, honestly, like the two things combined, the opportunity and the concept. Like I had been, for the past like 6-7 years, I was the partner and culinary director, chef of a restaurant group in Canada. And we were bringing one of our concepts that was like a top 100 rated restaurant. We have a place called the G10s in Ottawa, and we're bringing it to Los Angeles, West Hollywood. We started in about 2020 developing this thing, and I took out a lease in the space, and we brought on a partner and did this whole thing and designed this restaurant that was going to be what is the Los Angeles version of Gitans. And that, unfortunately, in COVID, fell apart because of funding, which things happen. But I started working with Dean Levin of 22RE Studios, and we're like, listen, we speak the same language, right? Like, as a chef, you have to do more than just the food, right? Like, I care about what the design is, what the space looks like, the beverage, the service, the whole thing. And we eventually connected on this location in Signal Development in Arts District that Dean was doing some design on, and 22RE Studios. And he's like, hey, come take a look at this thing. I know you did just open Rita's. You don't want to do fine dining anymore, but they're looking for someone to come in and do like the restaurant that's going to like be the property restaurant and a seafood thing. And I told the developers, like, if you're looking for the seafood guy, Luke's the seafood guy, and which is a huge compliment as I'm wearing my Sea Chest Inn shirt. But like, I growing up in the East Coast and working in the restaurants that I have, it's something I love working with, and it just vegetables and seafood. So I was like, listen, I don't want to do fine dining, I'm fucking over it, but I'll go take a peek. And I love the space. I love the property. For some reason, downtown just has a fucking clause in me. I was like, okay, yeah. And what can, given the parameters of this thing, what can I do? And I was like, well, how do I do kind of the development of what I was originally trying to do with Gitans, but like in the version of like my time spent working at Tasting Kitchen and travels in Italy. I'm like, let's do that. One of the developer partners is Italian. He's like, what are Italian spot? I'm like, well, I'm not going to do a pasta or pizza focused restaurant, but I will do the thing. Like, I would love to do a coastal, and like not coastal in the way of like nightclubs, coastal restaurant, like northern Tuscany, Maremma style coastal Italian restaurant, and serving like some crudos and beautiful dishes like that, surrounded with the things like the mountain Tuscany stuff with like some pork and things that like all of that I want to eat, that's relatable, and people would want to come and make it a neighborhood place. I want it to be something comfortable. And through that, we've kind of just started developing this thing. And it started up as like, okay, I want it to be a bar. I want it to be like aperitivo. I want people to hang out, and like you can have a crudo, you can have oysters, you could have pizzette and from some panino, but you could also have a beautiful meal, and I want it to be a place that kind of changes throughout the day. Like, you come in, we're gonna have a window, you can get a panino and cater to the neighborhood. You can walk away, or you can go and sit in the courtyard and have a bottle of wine and chill for 6 hours. And that's kind of where it is. And through that, I was like, okay, if we're going to do beverage and to make it a bar, let's bring on the best version. Like, I want it to be, without pretense, one of the best wine lists that we can possibly make it, not in the city, but like, let's fucking swing for the fences,
Yeah.
And so we've kind of started, I was leading to finding Reilly, and we're defining what the concept is in real time. And that's, I think, the special thing of like,
yeah,
I don't know what I don't know, but I also can I'm willing to admit and say like, hey, let's lean into each other, and like, let's talk to some of the investors that we have are like people who are, really, really special artists and that don't invest in restaurants, but they're like, we like this thing. And I think the team we're surrounding ourselves with is something that like doesn't happen often. And this is speaking from like someone who does this, wherein everyone is kind of contributing really some special stuff to the thing that's going to make it hopefully something cool.
You mentioned that the concept is like sort of evolving in real time. Like, how much? Like, what elements are evolving and what is baked in?
Quite literally, I'm having we have a meeting today at 2:30 about like, hey, here's where we're at. Like, we have the restaurant framed out. We're trenched in plumbing. We have inspections on Monday to like close up the walls. And I'm like, I don't fucking like some of the chairs. I don't want to have this much wood. I won't want, so today, Reilly and I had a 3-hour conversation yesterday where we're like, I'm like, tomorrow I might have to be bad cop, but like, now's the time to do it, instead of like in 3 weeks or 2 months when we're like, fuck man, why do we do this booth? Right. Mm-hmm. So like, I think it's quite literally changing day by day. And from the design aspect, and also from like, hey, what are we doing? What are our service standards, right? Reilly and I speak the same language as far as like what we want to get out of this long term, hopefully, and like what we want people from that work with us and come, dine with us to experience. But like, how do we express that in a way that is different, and also, build something that I think for me, I've done the restaurant thing for a very long time, and it's hard for people to kind of see it as a future. And I want to build a business and a team that like people want to be on board with. People want to like, hey, I'm going to be here for 5 years, or I'm going to take this thing. I'm going to help. I want to build, maybe become a chef, or maybe I don't want to be a chef. I want to pivot into wine, and we're going to be like, yeah, like let's get people, train from the dishwasher to the fucking to the servers. Let's teach them about wine. When we have a wine training, like let's get the whole team there. And I think that to me is like creating a culture that like leans into our people, and that starts at the top, and also like it's evolving from like, how do we speak that language?
Mm-hmm.
Reilly, you mentioned this while we were talking, but like it sounds like you both bring some unique skills to the table when it comes to this process. And how have you found that those two complement each other, or don't? That's, part of learning in a new working arrangement, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing that's really nice about working with Luke is like the concept, I don't know if the concept is changing. The philosophy of the restaurant maintains the same. The ideas about the small touches that we were talking about earlier that allows the restaurant to be this like, hopefully utility restaurant, but also maybe it's like utopic, but have it be something that people can use. And I think within the conversations Luke and I are having, and being brought on in the way that I am, and also my voice respected as an equal, we're having the conversations often, and it encapsulates everything. It encapsulates where the host stands, to where we're going to put the host, to what it feels like for the bar and the table that's near the bar. And if you're sitting down, like where is your eye line of vision? And I think we're always having conversations where I'm very understanding of the zone he's in, which is in the food side. And he's like, oh, I need the well here, yada, yada, yada. And I'm also like expressing my opinion. That's like, okay, well, we need X amount of wine fridges, so you may need to lose one fridge. And so I think we're both really respectful of each other and respect each other's opinion and voice. And so the conversation constantly evolves. If I realize something, I'll say it, but it's not that something is like firm. It's more so like, how do we get to this is like a point, and like, how do we find what's best for each of our sides, front of house and back of house, and then also the restaurant and the guests and the people that work there. So like the 3-hour meeting yesterday, it's like we have these conversations and they evolve into this very it has this like a fog of other conversations around it.
Yeah.
Not fog, I guess that feels more negative, but like there's a lot of other things that encircle the conversation. And so I think that's a good thing. I don't know if that answered your question entirely.
It was the perfect answer that we needed for this podcast. Now, you're looking at, if I'm not mistaken, late Q1, early Q2 opening in 2025. Is that right?
Yeah, I think right now, like, listen, I can say fucking March and it could be next January, but I think realistically, like having done this thing, this is the fastest version of building out of a restaurant that I've ever done, as far as like the team. Like we have a contractor who quite literally lives in the space. Not, he like has a cot, and I've never seen someone who's like, he's worked in the industry before, who knows. It's a contractor who, like, usually having built restaurants, these guys are like, oh yeah, I'll see you in 3 weeks or whatever, and they fuck off. And this guy who's working on this project, or contractor, is like, hey, this is my thing. I'm going to make sure that these are my guys, that your trades. And I'm going to make sure I tell you a wall's going to be up on Monday, it's going to be up on Monday. And he'll live in he'll be there all day, every day, which is like, I'm also like, hey, bud, go home. But also it's like, it's really nice to have that person, and
yeah,
this is like when I say like these kind of things, with restaurants don't happen often. This is like, without saying it's going to actually open on time, this might actually fucking open on time, which is crazy. And like, so yeah, we're looking March, April, Q1, Q7.
Somewhere between that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our underneath his cot is also a shag rug, which is a really important detail because if you're going to sleep there, you've got to make it comfortable.
Yeah.
And he's really charming and doing a really, really good job. So, yeah.
That's amazing. Shag rug is a fantastic detail. So, you know, we talked about the concept, and you said, yeah, that's not the concept that's evolved, but it's really sort of the philosophy stays the same. I am curious though, because, you know, you mentioned, Luke, that when this opportunity came, it seemed like they needed a restaurant in this space. They were looking for something, and you were like, oh, this feels like the right thing to put here. You know, I'm curious if there's any sort of like market research or like things that happen before when you're deciding whether something can work in a space to like actually back up the feeling you have that this can work here. Like, are you looking at what other restaurants are in the vicinity? What's missing in this neighborhood? Like, what kind of like tangible considerations going into plugging part A to part B?
I think that like the thing with me as I've developed as like growing out of a chef to a chef owner to like hopefully someone who has, you know, a group that and we've scaled multiple units of different concepts is like looking at like the macro and the larger sense of like globally, and also like down to looking at a neighborhood and being able to say, okay, this is what I can get out of how many seats can I fit in this place? How much am I paying per square foot? What can I fit from? How much it's going to cost me to put a hood in here? Do I need a hood? And really, I'm getting, you know, learning to dial that kind of thing in space by space, and looking at the location that was offered, you know, where we're now opening Cafe Esca. I was like, okay, here's what it is. Developer really wants to put something here that can be an all-day restaurant. What does all-day restaurant mean? Right? Is it a cheesecake factory? Right? Like, is it a brasserie? What? So like, if we're gonna open down here, it's an arts district. What are the surrounding places? And I saw, okay, there's Cha 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 next door, and there's Worskooch like 2 blocks down, and there's the Hauser and Wirth Gallery that has what's that restaurant in there? Manuela, which is this beautiful space. So like, there are places that are busy and beautiful and doing, you know, volume when it comes from like sales, but like looking at Los Angeles, it's like, okay, what is evergreen? And everyone loves Italian food, right? I'm not Evan Funky. I'm not fucking some guy who, you know, like, but like, I know the versions of the restaurants, Italian places I've cooked at, which is I've, you know, spent time as sous chef at Tasting Kitchen, and my wife is a designer and has an Italian company, and we spend time, you know, lots of time in Italy, and I'm the most food obsessive person. I'm like, I can take that and kind of translate it through like a California lens of like, how do we make the fucking, you know, 2025 Chez Panisse, it's northern coastal Italian restaurant that's a thing that's like really approachable and simple and clean and beautiful and like not super fussy, but also like I'm not in the back rolling out fucking pasta every day because the lift is big, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how do we do that thing? And that kind of is how I looked at the space of like, okay, do I need a pizza oven? Do I need to do things? And that's the process that kind of got to where we're at of like, okay, I know that it's going to be heavily leaning on seafood in the markets, and we are going to have a pasta program, but it's not going to be 50 things. And we are looking at some options to do like pizzettes, because it's something we did at Gitan's, which was we made to order in our wood fire oven focaccia. But it was like a sourdough proof focaccia in the style. I hated people calling it fucking pizza because I'm like, it's not pizza, but it was basically pizza. But it's a version of that, like essentially a pizzette that will be very, very simple, made to order. And I think it's things that like are craveable, go well with drinking, and can be an all day, everyday restaurant. I don't want you to come in and be like, oh man, I got fucking spanked when it came to that check, right?
Yeah.
Like I want you to come in and be like, this is something I can go on Tuesday and Saturday.
And so you have that idea, or, you know, you're like, hey, this kind of suits the need. Do you then have to sell that into your investors and get their buy-in? Or they're like, yo, Luke, We trust you. We're going to let you cook, for lack of a better term.
Yes and no. I mean, I will say that to their detriment, they've kind of like let me fucking run, which is really, I mean, I think like there's a lot of trust. But we've also had a lot of conversations, and I'm constantly updating like, hey, here's the big picture of like, everyone who's invested or being part of this restaurant from the top down into the property, the people, developers. They've tasted my food, and we've spent, many nights together having dinner and talking. So they're like, we know that you're going to make this thing, and we know that you'll develop that thing, and we want to contribute what we can to like help you figure that thing out.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of trust, but also like, it's a business, and it's got to be, okay, it's an Italian restaurant that's this and has wine, leans on drinking, has, full cocktail menu and a patio. We need to make that concept is the framework. Now let's dial in the details.
Another question, which may seem trivial, but like to the people who have never opened a restaurant, it may seem like the most absolutely essential detail. Cafe Esca, the name, where did that come from? Who comes up with that? How did that come together?
So I came up with the name, and I think that, well, like from the non-romantic side is a trademark search where you're like, here's 50 versions of things. I know it's going to be a seafood restaurant, right? Okay, I know he's Italian seafood. Esca is seafood. And like looking at, okay, is there an Esca here? Oh, wait, there's an Esca restaurant in New York years ago, Dave Pasternak. I'm like, okay, there's not, that thing's closed. Oh, they exist. The website exists. Okay, that works. And that's the non-romantic side of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
The other version that is like, what is that Esca, right? Looking at like the anglerfish is the lure that's on its head. And the Esca of like luring in this space that we're creating is like in the middle of downtown, which warehouses, whatever, but it's going to be this little oasis, this place looks like it belongs in fucking Greece or, in literal Italy. It's a beautifully designed property. It's going to have this courtyard that has all, lush and filled with this food and beautiful thing in the middle of kind of this industrial place. And I think that those two things, that's like, it's kismet, right? It's like that this thing is luring people in to this, it's a different change of the surroundings, but also it's a seafood restaurant. It's also Italian. So like, I felt like that was really, really a name for it. And then it was like, do we call it Bar Esca? Do we call it Cafe Esca? We just call it fucking Esca. A cafe to me is like non-pretentious, right? It's like an all-day thing. It's not traditionally an Italian thing, but it's like, who gives a shit?
I don't give a shit. As an Italian, I don't give a shit. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that because it's like, I feel like there's a lot of romance and mystery that comes with when people think about like starting a restaurant. And it's cool to hear like sort of like, hey, no, there's like real business reasons why we picked this name. And it just happens to have this kismet with like a real sort of like message and philosophy that we're thinking about. Let's finish off by talking a little bit about the process of what lies ahead over the next 6 to infinite amount of months, depending on when it ends up opening, right? But what is the actual process from here on out look like? Is there a spreadsheet? Is there a timeline? Like what are we dealing with here?
There's lots of timelines. There's lots of spreadsheets. I think from like the big macro version is like, hey, here's our build out schedule. We have to hit these deadlines. We've got to get walls closed and permits things and blah, blah, blah done by X date. And like parallel path, Reilly and I are also like, okay, looking at the timeline we have, which is, fluctuating, how do we get ahead on as much stuff as possible? Which is like, we can't start bringing in cooks, whatever, but together we can start defining like, okay, what does the food menu look like? What does the beverage buy look like? What is the cost of those things, right? And what story do we want to tell to guests and our team, and how do we buy into this thing and then relay that to everyone else that eventually we build this team around us. So we're constantly defining things like a 3-hour conversation that says like, okay, what is our cutlery? Okay, what is our glassware? How much is this glassware going to cost? How do we be as efficient with that? How do we do like all of the versions of those things? So each week we have a check-in, and we're, kind of say like, okay, what do we accomplish this week from a design build outside, but also like, what are we doing to like, when the time comes, like, oh shit, we're done, like we're ready to go, we're not like caught with our pants down, for a lack of, we're ready to go, because eventually we got to open the doors and start paying rent and doing all the things that, like, let's open a restaurant.
So this is going to be a bit more of a esoteric question for both of you as we near the end of this really insightful conversation, by the way. I want to start with Reilly actually on this one. Which part of this process that's coming up in the next couple months causes you the most anxiety, and which are you most excited for?
I don't know if I feel anxious yet. I guess the anxiety would be around like opening timeline. And I think we both have worked in restaurants and seen restaurants through opening. And I think we like want to be in a position to, when it comes to crunch time for the restaurant, we want to be as prepared as possible. I think, it's really important to have the back end really tight. And this is the moment we have where we're like putting the walls back up and the ground opened up for the plumbing, and most of the decisions have been made for the layout. This is the time where we are waiting on these other building factors for us to tighten all the cutlery budgets, the conversation of what it's going to look like to have, what the wine costs are going to be or the plates are going to look like. And so I think I don't necessarily have anxiety about the restaurant, but I am excited to like be in this phase and be as we're in the position of where we're preparing as much as we can. So when it's go time, we're not caught with our pants down. I think the thing I'm most excited about, I think, is like seeing it like vibrate, seeing a restaurant full of people eating and drinking and hearing glasses, cutlery hit the plate, and glasses polished and drinks shaken and wine taken out of ice, all of the like the sound and the visual aspect of a restaurant, which will be finally coming into its fruition of at that point I'd imagine a little bit more than 3 hours of conversation, myriad hours of conversations. And so I think that's what I'm excited about. And I'm excited about executing the details and talking about training and service. And I think I feel very, very strongly about hospitality, and I've had moments of like really like beautiful and resonant hospitality, whether in Italy or in France or in Spain or in Los Angeles or in Chicago, and wanting to take those aspects and like really allow that to bloom in our restaurant, and see in the ways that like, I'd be curious, the people we bring in to be a part of the team, how that sticks for them, and see it kind of come alive through their participation.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Luke, how about you? Anxiety, excitement?
I mean, both, but I summed it up. Amazing. I think it's like, this is the tough part, like, but the real hard work is so much further away. I think like from a business standpoint, it's all real on the day to day of like, okay, what are the costs? How do we control this budget of opening a restaurant so that it becomes, when we open, we're not like, okay, we said we were going to open for X and turned into Y. It's hard to return that money. It's a tough business in general, especially considering where things are going and have been. But like, I believe in it so much that I know that there's a version of this being successful if, we approach it with equal parts passion and caution of like, okay, we have to, we want things to be the most amazing version of beautifully served food and drink and service, but we can't buy fucking $20,000 combi ovens. How do we get there? Or how do we do this thing while still eventually being able to say, hey, returning our investors funds, and hopefully, giving a place that can be a long-term business that works for everyone involved, but also the guests don't see it as like, oh man, they're like juicing us, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why starting these conversations now is like the important part to me, as opposed to like, oh, fuck it, throwing caution to the wind and running and, just being, caught in 6 months being like, oh man, we have to go and raise funds or open without a liquor license, So that's the cautious part. That's the anxious part of just being so excited. Like I love food. I love hospitality. I think this opportunity, this space downtown with Cafe Esca is going to be something special. But to every day be like, how do I make sure that I create this business in a way that like we're here for a very long time?
And I think too, in a conversation of the budget, it's like the anxiety is I think in our conversations, we can catch ourselves getting excited and getting and like being able to spend money very easily. We both like nice things. And so I think we're at a position right now where like we are making moves, but we're also being cautious of the way that money is spent. And like, okay, our meeting later is like, okay, do we need custom chairs? Maybe we don't. And like, how do we put ourselves? We're not in the position where we're like, oh, fuck. We're in the position where we're like, let's have a conversation and let's look at it and see if it works out. So we're like not in the position where we've made mistakes yet. And have spent too much money. We're like, I think we're being vigilant about what it looks like from a budget standpoint and a conversation about what each thing is worth while still wanting to have things that are very beautiful.
I feel like we'll be talking about chairs in a future episode.
Yeah.
But what about the things that you don't control? Like, permits going through, or I don't like the writer's strike and the lingering effects of that kind of stuff, right? Like, how do you think about those things? Do you just let go and let God, or do you just are there things you can do to sort of like mitigate those anxieties, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely, you can't control anything, right? The restaurant externally, the restaurant is going to be a thing. Like we're committed to opening this thing. I've been very cautious and I've looked at it from like, here's the flying where fucking everyone's there, every 500 seats a day restaurant version, but also here's this, no one shows up, right? And looking at it from those model. And again, that's is the unromantic side of things. Is like, how do I build this kitchen and design this restaurant from a point where it's like, there's not a station over here where there's a guy on a Burkle slicer that always has to be manned. And the station over there, I have to have. So if I don't have 25 kitchen people, the restaurant is fucked.
Mm-hmm.
So I can do it either full throttle, but also if no one shows up, we're going to be fine. So I think that's the way that I've approached it from, both Ryan and I designing the place of like, how do we make this thing as efficient as possible that can hum with just the two of us if we needed to,
Mm-hmm.
but also if we're full throttle, like it can do the numbers that it needs to for us to be like, okay, cool, this is the most beautiful, excellent version. And having been in this industry long enough to be able to say like, I can be optimistic, but also cautious, and either way works. That's amazing.
How about you, Reilly?
I think what I had kind of said earlier, I'm excited to kind of like see it come to life. I'm excited to see it in its place, but I also want to build it really smart. And it's how can we, work in a way where it's like intelligent from like a staffing perspective, where people can make money and feel really good about working there, but then also build the restaurant out to where like if we have 2 or 3 people working lunch from a front of house perspective, like, or front of house, back of house perspective, like what does that look like? And so right now I'm feeling pretty steady about the position we're in, because we're having these conversations and we're we don't know how people are going to perceive it, but I think in the way that we can put heart and a perspective of hospitality being a place forward, and also like wanting to make it be financially approachable for people.
Yeah.
Like if you want to ball out and have a really nice time, like you really can do that. But if you want to hack the menu and like have something crunchy and green and something nourishing and with carbs and walk away and not spend that much money, I think you can also do that. And so we're just trying to figure out what that looks like for us. Hopefully that would put us in a position with the restaurant to like allow people to have some utility within it. Because I think that's the purpose of a trattoria or a cafe. There's something that like, or bar within a social community, there is a utility to spaces that people gather in public, whether it's a drinking space or a dining space or a place for coffee. And so wanting Esca to be something that has a bit of utility, that still feels like there are these very thoughtful touches, both from in service and within the food.
Yeah.
Within that all understanding budget, which is a difficult thing to do, and why we're trying to have these conversations as early as we are, and talk about the silverware, and talk about what how the silverware is going to wash, and talk about how it's going to cost and how it's going to feel, and is it hard to polish, and so like all of the things that reach both the people who are dining there, the people who are working there, us who are in the position that we are right now, to make sure all point is touched, to protect the restaurant, to protect the staff, to protect ourselves, and hopefully build something that is fruitful and has an equal ebb and flow.
Totally. No, that makes a ton of sense. Well, look, I just wanted to say, it sounds like you guys are incredibly busy and are going to only get busier over the next, 6 to however many months. I just want to say thank you for joining us and for letting us and our audience into the process and come along this journey with you. What do you hope listeners who either do have experience opening restaurants or maybe don't and are just really curious about the entire process but just love restaurants, what do you hope they take away from going along this journey with you?
This is like a very candid version of this conversation. Listen, PR and marketing and media is a whole different, it's changing landscape than, from 15 fucking years ago. When it's like, oh, okay, cool. I read about this thing in LA Times or New York Times and here's the front of it. But I think this is the kind of, without fully pulling back everything, I think this is a very candid conversation of this is what it is to open a restaurant. And, now it's there's the passion and the love and the 25 years of working in hospitality. And this is my entire life. And I love serving food to people. I love seeing people in restaurants and building things and cooking, but also I'm how do I create a business that hopefully turns into this flourishing thing for myself and the people who've, given us their money to open this business, and return that thing. And this is not something that you often get to see. And I think this is why I was I'm interested in, throwing it out there, and hopefully people at the end of this journey with us are cool, this sounds like a restaurant I want to come in and have a beer at, or come in and be hey man, I fucking followed the journey and stoked to see you open.
After spending 6 episodes with you, I hope they want to live at Cafe Esca. No, I don't, not just have a beer, man. How about you, Reilly?
Yeah, I mean, I back up what Luke said. I think it's, you go to a restaurant and you can see, sometimes you can pay attention to the conversations that were had, whether that's the way a menu is built out or the number of drinks that are on the menu. And I think this allows a level of intimacy for the people who are listening that, doesn't happen that frequently. And I think from when you first approached us, it's been something we've been excited about, because it is something throughout after this episode, Luke and I are having a lot of conversations, and to give viewers a glimpse into what that looks like and how that works. It's there's the beautiful thing of a restaurant that is you're experiencing it and it's buzzing and the food rocks and the drink is delicious. And then there's the other side, which is all of the real things that happened before it, that happened before it opened, which is the things that are the small attention, notice of detail, but then also the hopefully no failing of permits or the other setbacks that you may have, paying rent before the restaurant's opening, and the financial strain that starts to put on if things aren't moving as smoothly. And so, yeah, I think I'm excited for people to listen along, and hope they get to finally experience the details that we put forward. So
Yeah, really well said. And I think you guys both captured it so well. I think they're just readers who follow food media are so used to going to one of the publications and just seeing a quick write-up on, hey, this exciting new place is opening. You can expect to find, coastal cuisine and a really pretty space. It opens at this time and it closes at this time, right? But that's it. That's like all you get. And there's been months and months and blood, sweat, tears that go into it. Like, I'm really excited for people to get a glimpse of that. And in the next, few months, we're going to talk about everything from staffing and permits and how food comes together, how you start preparing for actual service and things like that. And I think it's going to be really cool for people to see that. So once again, just want to say thank you for doing this. I'm stoked. I think we'll be checking in again in about a month time. Until then, good luck to you both. I hope you're still finding some work-life balance through it all.
Thank you, Luca. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the LA Food Podcast. Thanks to Luke, Reyes, and Reilly Cox for joining us. I am so excited to go on this journey with them. They'll be back in about a month for a new episode, probably on something like permitting and the build out. Get excited, it's going to be a wild ride. Thanks as always to Father Saul, and of course, thanks to you, dear listener. If you like what you heard today, go to wherever you listen to podcasts, leave us a rating, a review, subscribe. Seriously, all that stuff really helps us. We'll be back next week with another epic episode, but if you're looking for me in the meantime, you can find me on TikTok, Instagram, Threads, and YouTube at the LA Countdown. That's TheLaCountdown. You can also find us on Instagram at LA Food Pod. That's LAFOODPOD.